Hello, thanks for joining us, or me. I don't actually know if this is working, so if you're in the chat and you aren't seeing or hearing something, let me know. All right. Since it says that somebody's here, let's see. Part of watching me on Twitch will be also watching me. Will be watching me monitor my Twitter notifications. So it says there's one or maybe two people here. Let me talk about what we're doing. So this is a cheapo mechanical keyboard, wireless. It's about $35, I think. It's the Royal Kludge RK1. Has a nice little sound. The spacebar has a really hollow ping to it, and same with these larger keys. So what I'm going to do is, let's see here, I'm going to lube them using this Super Lube. Now normally what you do is when you were building your keyboard, you would take the little switches out, the things that go click. Not the keys, but the things that the keys rest on. And you'd take it apart and you'd carefully lube the spring and you'd run it on the inside. However, this is a cheapo keyboard, like I said, and all those switches are soldered into the board. So unless I wanted to spend 5 hours desoldering, lubing them and then soldering them back, what we're going to do is we're going to use this, which kind of, let's see, kind of pokes on the side. It's not the best way to do it, and the people over on Reddit would be very mad at me for seeing me do it, but I think it's appropriate. So with that, the first thing to do is to start pulling out keycaps. If you're around, please say hello. Now, if I were really smart, let's see here. If I were really smart, I would start, I would actually keep track of where all these keys are, but you guys know I'm not smart, so. Oh, you know what? Before I go too far, let me just type a little bit. So we have a little before and after. Okay. Fun. Maybe could have done this before. Maybe. Let's see. I guess instead of just making you guys watch me do this in total silence, I can tell you a story. Let's see. So this is my writing keyboard. My main keyboard that I use all day. Actually, I have two, like when I'm doing stuff for the manifold or just tweeting. I have a Code keyboard. It's a mechanical keyboard from a company called WASD. WASD. And then I actually need to lube that as well, which maybe that'll be a future stream. Or maybe I'll do this once, get discouraged, and never do it again. That's actually, par for the course for me. I hate myself. Up next, oh, we got people. Oh my gosh. Yes, I do have a giant beard right now. And it's for, I'll tell people here in the chat, the reason I have a giant beard is because I'm also filming a skit this weekend. And that skit involves me being incredibly disheveled. I've been growing this thing out for, gosh, weeks now at this point. And I cannot wait to shave it. Oh my God. It's also I get to have a haircut. I've actually tucked my hair back into my barrette here, my raccoon barrette. And but if it were loose, you would just see it everywhere. Exactly. Thank you, Mark. I'm glad that I'm living up to your expectations. So as I was saying, this is my kind of my writing keyboard. I only use it a couple hours a day. My main keyboard is a big, heavy code keyboard from WSAD, like I said. But if I'll be honest, my daily driver keyboard is one of those little thin chiclet keyboards from Mac, the Magic keyboard. I really started to like those. The thing I like about mechanicals when I'm doing creative work is it really does feel like I'm making something, you know, like I'm really like creating a thing. I don't know. I just like the sound, to be honest. Which is ironic because I'm lubing it to help reduce the sound. So I don't know. And so this I just use. I have a little writing nook that connects to an iPad. I think I've done pictures of that. It's a wall-mounted iPad with this little mechanical keyboard beside it. And so I only use this about 2 or 3 hours a day. Well, in a perfect world, I would use this 2 or 3 hours a day. In the real world, I use it 2 or 3 hours a week. And so it doesn't need to be the best keyboard in the world. But, you know, I want it to be a little nicer. I'll admit I'm a little bit obsessed right now. Probably because I need to film this skit. So I'm kind of putting it off. And you're right, before you say anything, yes, the amount of time that I'm going to be spending tonight lubing and otherwise maintaining this keyboard I don't really care about could have been used towards filming the skit. So I don't know what to tell you. Don't like it? Go watch Hamilton. Let's see here. So I'm actually kind of hoping there's a small chance that this method will break my keyboard. I am actually okay with that. Like I said, this was pretty cheap. And the real reason I'm doing it is because I have my eye on this nicer. Yes, there will. You know, it's so awkward. Pelican there says that I can take a break to lube up my beard. And so what's funny about that is this stuff I'm going to be using, the Super Lube, is almost it's like something they would use at NASA, in that like a micron of this lube just smears out all over your hand. It's crazy. Like I just took off the cap and I got an atom of it on me, and like all day I've been dropping stuff. So I could use a few. Or what I'm saying is I have actually probably lubed my beard all day today without even meaning to. So I have my eye on a much more expensive keyboard that I can't really justify buying. So I'm kind of channeling that frustration. I lost a keycap. I'm channeling that frustration into lubing up this cheapo keyboard I use. Thank you, Mark. You know, it's all I ask for is to be able to entertain you people. Hey, that reminds me. I was thinking about doing kind of a joke, sort of a joke poll on the old Twitter.com about what to refer to my fans as, you know, like the ponchos or whatever. And like one of the jokes would be that you know, like I want to call my fans peasants or plebes, but I don't believe that. Just between us, that's just a joke. So one of the things I don't like about this keyboard, this would have been easier if I had told you this before I actually. If I told you this before I actually took all the keycaps off. This is called a 60% keyboard. Let me move this up here so you can actually see it. Yeah. Get out of here, you Legos. I wonder if I'll make you guys watch me put all the keycaps on. Probably. Or judging from my MacBook, my my computer will melt based on the fan noise I'm hearing right now. Audio okay? Can you guys hear me? Am I too loud? Anyway. So this is called a 60% keyboard, which means that a lot of things are hidden behind function keys. So they don't have, thank you, Aqua Pelican. They don't have dedicated keys. So for example, again, would have been a lot better if I told you about this before I took all the keycaps off. But it doesn't have dedicated arrow keys. So there's, this is the question mark. This is like Alt, Control, Windows, Control, and I don't know. And you can toggle whether those keys work as, you know, up, down, left, right, or whether they work as, you know, question mark, whatever. So by default, you want to use them as arrow keys, obviously. So that means that when you're typing, to whom it may concern, I have made the difficult decision to end my... Anyway, and then you want to end with a question mark. You can't just hit Shift question mark. You have to hold down on Function Shift question mark. Otherwise, the the cursor goes up. Now, I know this sounds incredibly... I know this sounds incredibly minor and a very first world problem. But you don't realize how often you use a question mark. So what I'm saying is, it's not quite enough to get rid of the keyboard, but if my maintenance today maybe screws it up a little and I have to buy a nice fancy keyboard with dedicated arrow keys, so be it. I mean, it's not my fault. The other thing I don't like about it is I use it with an iPad, and on Macs, the command key, the little swirly thing, is here, whereas on Windows it's over here, and there's no way to reprogram it, and that muscle memory is hard. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. These are the switches. I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to lube up these things here, which are the stabilizers. Let me see if any of them need to be secured. They all seem pretty tight. So let me see if I can explain. So let's see. I agree, Eric. It does sound janky. That's why I'm lubing it. Okay, so this part here, the middle one, is the one that actually connects to the blue thing. And then these other ones latch into the little white guys on the side there. So those aren't actually connected to anything. They're just loose. In fact, I'm going to show that with tweezers. All right, Eric, thanks for checking in, man. I probably will never be doing this again, so it's a good thing you got here. I literally learned how to stream, like get all this set up like 20 minutes ago, so I hope. Andy, my boy, why aren't you on stream? Andy here in the chat is my workout partner. He and I lifted weights, me and him and a friend of ours lifted today, so... Andy and I are getting swole. So what I was saying is the blue part. The blue part here is the actual switch. That's the thing that connects. And then these little guys on the side, they're just loose. And I don't know if the Yeti's going to pick this up, but here. You kind of hear that sound. That's part of what makes it sound janky. So what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, and you guys are going to hang out, is I'm going to lift these up, and I'm going to put a little lube. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this. Let's see. Andy, wait, I'm a noob, man. I didn't even know how to do this like 10 minutes ago. Let's see. So you just lift up, you lift this up like that. And then there's a little slot down there where these wires kind of stick to it. It's probably not very informative. Yes, thank you. Yes, well, you know, I do have a fan base. Let me, like I said, I'm going to start by doing the stabilizers. So we have two different kinds of lube. This is the Super Lube that I was mentioning earlier, which is greasy on an almost quantum level. And then this is dielectric grease. Dielectric grease. And it's a little thicker, and that's what you need for these sides here. And also, like I said before, I think anybody else joined, there are plenty of... Yes, good. There are plenty of mechanical keyboard enthusiasts who would yell at me for doing it this way. I just don't want to have to desolder all these keys and then solder them back, because in fact, I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. And I'm using a, this is, oh, here we go. Here's a nice little, bit of additional content for everyone. So this is an interdental cleaner. These are so much better. Let me get this over here on the camera. These are so much better than floss. I'm so glad. Isn't everybody glad you tuned in to hear me talk about dental care? Well, this isn't working. Anyway, they're little brushes. You stick them between your teeth. Gets all the gunk out. Highly recommend it. Now what I'm going to do, let me see. So this is actually just the right size to go right down into that hole. So this is the sort of, I think this is probably, please don't mark this as not safe for work. Yes, so, see? Oh boy, okay. So now, Mark, wake up. It's all a dream, Mark. Now I'm just gonna put this down underneath the stabilizer and I'm trying to get it on that. There's a little wire in there. Let's see. Andy actually has a real, wow, actually, I'm actually getting real mechanical keyboard questions. I was not prepared for this. Gatorons versus, what's the other one? Otemu. I would probably go with Gatoron, although I'm not, you know, I'm not a gamer, and a lot of people are in this, you know, because of the sound. This is mostly typing for me, so I'm not hugely particular. I got these. These didn't come with any options. This cheapo keyboard that I'm working on now. If it had come with different keycap options, I probably would have gotten cherry brown. I like the bump, kind of tactile feel there. All right, so I'm gonna just quickly put the space bar back on, and we're just gonna see if it sounds any better. Well, you know what I'm gonna do first? Actually, I'm gonna actually lube. I think so. I'm gonna leave the cap on here. So what we're aiming to do is we're gonna push it down with these. Boop. I'm gonna put a few drops here and here. I'm gonna work it around a little bit and maybe put one there. You don't want to go too crazy, although, like I said, the people who are watching this, who are Reddit mechanical keyboard folks and screaming at me, would say I'm already going to be using too much. But all right, so you know, I might have to take off the old sunglasses for this. Give everyone a real treat. There we go. And I'm going to put another one there. Let's go ahead and put one on that side. And listen, you can already tell how softer it is. So of course that's one of the paradoxes of being into mechanical keyboards, is you buy them because you like the clicky sound, and then you spend dozens of hours and hundreds of dollars trying to get rid of the clicky sound. Yeah, I'm not sure, Mark. I'm going to put it on and see if this is where the spacebar goes. Let me see here. All right, so there's actually one more mod I'm going to do, so let me tell you about that. The other reason that spacebars make a really hollow sound is because spacebars are hollow. So a little bit later, I'm going to be putting some foam in here. Some lightweight foam that'll kind of absorb the sound. But for right now, let's just see. All right, get on there. There you are. Ah, that is much better. Those of you who joined in early heard the clackiness. I cannot imagine that anybody is going to stay here for 2 hours if I'm only talking about mechanical keyboards. or at all, in fact, for that matter. So if anybody has any questions, not even about mechanical keyboards, just in general, that you would like to ask, favorite games, least favorite games, least favorite members of Board Game Twitter, whatever you guys want to hear about. All right, so now I'm going to continue lubing up the rest of these stabilizers. Just start over here. Thank you everybody for joining. This is like, we got 9 people. We got 9 people joining. That is probably 8 more than I thought would join. My mom is here. Hi Mom, thanks for joining. I hope you're proud of me. Andy, Board Game Twitter is a asymmetrical one versus many game in which the goal is to be the last person tweeting. I'm almost there. I've almost run everybody else off. So let's see. You know, it is fake. That's a really good point. It is pretty fake. It's a game I made up, sort of an experimental art piece. I said, what if a bunch of people, this was my idea, I said, what if a bunch of people who have built their entire identity around being a part of a hobby where they have a structure, a way to interact with each other around a table, because myself and others aren't good at just doing free-form interaction. What if I built a platform where they could talk to each other and there was no structure, and a bunch of people who aren't very socialized would have to learn how to talk to each other. I called it, it's a grand experiment, and I called it Board Game Twitter. So now the truth can be told. All of you who tuned in, I gotta say, I think I probably would have done a better job at this if I weren't wearing dark sunglasses. I think that probably would have helped things immensely. I have this other mask I can wear, or I could just take off the mask in general. I have this other mask I can wear. The thing is, those are long-term viewers of good old Asa here. Remember that I used to wear a giant rubber mask, and that thing was suffocating. I could seriously wear it for like 20 seconds. So I got this one, which doesn't cover my nose, but it's weirdly suede lined, and it is crazy hot after about, 30 minutes. So, all right, it's true, yeah, this is hard mode. Hard mode is me doing maintenance on my keyboard, wearing a pair of sunglasses. All right. All right, let's talk. You should do that. So Andy makes flower crowns. By the way, if you are a Twitch person, like I guess I am now, you should check out Andy's stream. He's a great guy. He's been playing BioShock. Very fun guy, has a great community. I'm sure he'll invite you to his equally fun Discord server. He's a great guy. So, and a good workout partner. That's why people have been noticing all day. People are like, Asa, you're so jacked now. You're so huge. You're gigantic. You're genuinely actually kind of frightening with how quickly you've gotten swole. And it's all Andy. Andy pushes me every day to get bigger, stronger, more aggressive. So yeah, Andy is TGX Andy. He makes flower crowns. He's a great guy. Great guy. Wow, it is weirdly difficult to not pay attention to that little number of how many people are online. It's like Twitter in real time. It's like me being completely obsessed with my follower number, but in real time. Let me move this up. Oh, I just realized you guys can't see this. I bet everyone is puking at the hair that I'm accidentally picking up. in my lube, the hairy lube. Hey, there's the name for my fans that I said that I was trying to come up with. Hairy lubes. Oh, thank you. Maybe something was supposed to happen when you followed. Maybe there's maybe if I continue Twitch streaming, maybe one day, like a little raccoon will run across the screen or something. Actually, only started even watching Twitch streams recently. I think when Girls Game Shelf started, I started watching them, and I never really thought it was anything for me, really. But I've really been enjoying it. Who do you guys follow? Who do you guys like? Other than Andy, of course. Let's see. I follow Bez, if you guys know her. She's a game designer in, I think, London. I hope that that's not wrong and I get yelled at. I mean, I hope I don't get yelled at in general, but I really don't want to get yelled at by Bez because she is a sweetheart. I follow John, who actually might be in the stream with us. John Valorant. Now, he has a Kickstarter coming in a couple weeks for a game called With a Smile and a Gun. It is fantastic. It's true, yeah. Me streaming Tabletop Stimulator. Hello. That might be a step beyond. All right, I think I've got all these stabs lubed. Probably not great, but it is what it is. Like I said, it's a cheap keyboard. All right, now we're gonna go one by one. And we're going to lube all these switches. I actually had a running joke. It wasn't even a joke. Maybe it was just something I was thinking about me live streaming myself learning how to use Tabletop Simulator and just getting more and more frustrated. But in the end, I chose not to. Did I choose not to? No, I just didn't do it, just like everything else. All right, and Andy, I'll come up with a little animation that does something on my screen when you get a follower. That'd probably be better. Well, Mark, it's just the 8 of us hanging out talking about keyboards and games and friendship. So why don't you tell us some people you follow? I'm going to take a quick hydration break from our sponsor, Diet Caffeine-Free Mountain Dew. Thank you for sponsoring this live stream. Okay, now we're going to get started on. Now we're going to get started. Well, thank you, Mark. I'm kind of an expert when it comes to streaming. I don't know if you know that. All right, so we're just going to start. I will try to look at the chat as often as possible. Yeah, I'm going to have to. Shoot. Okay. I'm going to get naked real quick. So, turning that off. Okay. I think I'm still here. All right. I got to put the other mask on. Ugh. Boy, who would have thought 2 years ago when I signed up for Twitter, it would lead to this today. This here. Let me get this back on. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm back with my mask. The mask that actually lets me see, but does not let me breathe. So, wow, I look weird. I look like Harry Knowles. Little old school internet reference for folks. Oh, I'm actually not on. There we go. Hi, Casey. Thank you for coming. Casey is Case Oddity on Twitter. She is fantastic. If you guys remember that short story I published about a month ago? No, gosh, 2020. It was like 3 months ago at this point. She was actually one of the very first people to read it, and she was so kind to me about it. So, let's see. Get just a little bit more on this one. I'm glad everyone's enjoying themselves, or at least willing to lie to me about enjoying themselves. There we go. All right. So let's do a little sound check here. Yes. Let me see, catching up on the chat. Oh, thank you, Andy. That's really sweet of you. Yeah, actually, okay, here's a little sound check on these. Let's see. So, little softer, a little smoother. This is mostly just an excuse to have something to do while I hang out with everybody. Okay, so actually, let me just put 2 random keys on. You can hear if this is worth it or not. The Manifold, my day job, we're doing a special video version of that story. If you guys remember, one of the reasons I was kind of upset is that I worked for a really long time on a narrated version. Had a professional narrator. Right, Mark? See you soon. Professional narrator talking about it. Maybe I should move my hands out of the stream here. It had a voice cast and everything, and I put it aside because it didn't feel appropriate to do that. A little time's passed, and I think we're going to move forward with it. So maybe in a few weeks there'll be a professional video version of it, me kind of reading it. So let's see. This is without any lube on it. And here's some with lube on it. Hello. Oh gosh. Peace, Love, and Games is here. Thank you so much for joining us. That's awesome. If you guys don't already follow Ada, I think her Twitter handle is Peace, Love, and Games. She will, I'm sure, correct us. She is super kind, super talented photographer. Highly. If you need a photograph taken of something, by all means, reach out to Ada. She is the person to talk to. And if you just need someone to be kind to you, reach out to her for that as well. Oh, good. Good. I'm glad I have the cat audience. Finally, what I wanted. Hey guys, I'm not being facetious here when I say I'm really honored that so many people have shown up and are hanging out. This is super cool. I honestly thought for the first 10 minutes it'd just be me by myself, and then I'd get like one person who just wanted to see pics of my feet or something. But this is really awesome. Thank you guys so much. This is I kind of didn't want to do this. I kind of didn't want to do this. I thought it was yet another waste of my time. I don't know, maybe we'll talk about that later, but about how, we do these things in our life. Well, what the hell? Let's talk about it now. Hi, Plumpy. And hi, Satan. Satan was a winner. Well, one, Satan's been a follower of mine since pretty much the very beginning. Super nice guy. And Satan, tell me if I'm saying this wrong, or if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But weren't you also? There was a weird period where I did giveaways. I think everyone who's trying to grow their Twitter account probably goes through like a contest phase or a giveaway phase. And so, yeah, I was giving away games. And Satan won. I can't remember what you got. Do you remember? Put it in the chat. Was it Saboteur? I can't remember. I actually would like to give away games again, but not as a contest because those are such a pain in the butt. I'd like to just give away games that I don't want because you guys know, like selling games, even trading games can be such a pain in the ass. Oh gosh, I hope I don't get demonetized. A pain in the keister. What I'd like to do is just give them away in exchange for the person reimbursing me for postage. Like, I don't mind. I mean, I spent this money years ago, and you know, it's not. I'm not really going to be trying to recoup it at this point. The problem is I don't really know how to do that without it just being first come, first serve. Like, it's kind of weird to run a contest. C-Tan. Cool. It's kind of weird to run a contest that you have to, like, pay to get your quote-unquote prize. So I don't really want to do it that way. But at the same time, I don't want to be like, hey, I have an original printing of Ghost Stories. Who wants it? First come, first serve. You got to pay for postage. Go. So I haven't really cracked that nut yet. Thank you, Mark. So while I'm doing this, like I said, maybe we just talk about why I didn't want to do it. I'm not going to get too heavy here. But, you know, one of the things... Oh, yeah, escape the curse of the temple. I hope you guys had fun with that. I got a bunch of real-time games on sale. I think that was one of them. And I just realized... So, oh, hey, guys, here's some board game content. I don't like real-time games. It took me a long time to... oh, good. I'm glad you're having fun with it. C-Tan. It took me a long time to realize why I don't like real-time games. And I realized this because for about a decade, I was the only person I knew who was into games, which meant I could get my friends to play them if I taught them the games. And real-time games, unless you just set out and be a referee, it's really hard to teach the game because you can't really watch other people. You're trying to play yourself. And I don't know about all the other board game people who are in this stream right now, but I always have huge anxiety. I mean, not capital A anxiety, just like normal person. Wait, hold on. Hello, please don't cancel me for being ableist. What I meant was not that people who suffer from anxiety are abnormal. What I meant was just low-key anxiety that everyone feels. I get a little anxious when I'm teaching games because, like I said, I was the only person I knew who was really into them. And my friends would play them with me and have fun, but I always was kind of worried that if I didn't teach it exactly right or they didn't have fun, that they would that they wouldn't want to play games anymore. And so every game night became this thing where I was kind of, you know, full of anxiety, and real-time games definitely add to that. So I just never really liked real-time games, so I've been getting rid of them, which is how C-Tan ended up with my copy of Escape the Curse of the Temple. Hi, Ross from More Games Please is here. I don't have to tell anyone here who Ross is, Ross, hello. Thank you for joining. You know, I've joined your streams a few times in the past and had you on in the background. I haven't actually said anything in chat, I don't think, because you're very popular and you have a bunch of people hanging out. So I'm lubing my mechanical keyboard switches. So I was talking about anxiety while teaching board games for people because you're afraid that they might not... You're afraid that they, you know, won't want to come back and keep playing. I actually think that roll and writes can kind of have this same issue because it's not, roll and writes aren't real time, but you're all playing at the same time. And if you're not trying to, you know, what really sucks for new games. So I've talked about this a little bit in the past on my Twitch stream. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but sorry about that. One of the things that is different between non-gamers and new gamers is that new gamers, or non-gamers, I mean, they're always afraid that they're going to look dumb. And that's not really something we deal with, especially not, I mean, I'm a grown man dressed as a raccoon maintaining a $30 mechanical keyboard. I mean, I clearly have no problems looking dumb. But for example, if me and you guys were at a table and someone said, hey, I have this new game, we'd have all sorts of questions about it. Like, oh, what's the mechanic? Who's the designer? You know, but for non-gamers, you say, hey, I just got this new game. The question they're going to ask almost always is, how do you win? And it's not because they're more competitive. It's because, again, I think deep down, they don't have the experience that we have not knowing how to play a game. I mean, everyone in this stream, you know, is used to the feeling of being lost. But non-gamers, I think, are really worried about being lost and kind of looking dumb in a way that we don't really have. So actually, I don't like roll-and writes for non-gamers. I know that's not a very popular opinion. And the reason is, if you're not just watching everyone's move every time you roll the dice, at the end of the game when they're tallying up their score, you might discover, oh, you know what, you actually played this wrong. And that can be kind of embarrassing and disheartening for them. But it's even worse than when you're playing a game and, you know, when you say, oh, that move, you actually can't do that move, and here's why. This actually comes at the end of the game, and that really sucks if you're someone who's been playing a game for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and you think you were doing well, and then the guy who taught you the game is like, oh, hey, that this thing you've been doing the whole time was wrong. That can be really disheartening for people. So I'm not saying that roll-and writes are impossible to teach. I just think you have to be careful. Yeah, absolutely, Ross. And Mark, too. Learning how to be dumb is something that I would say, even non-ironically or non-comedically, is something that I've learned from board games, is learning how not to feel bad about being lost in public. So there's another aspect to this anxiety that comes from teaching games. Like I said, I for about 10 years I was the only real gamer I knew, and kind of overlapping with that time, I also ran my local game store's game night, and so I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how to deal with non-gamers, how to help them. But what it did give me was a sort of low-key anxiety, because like I said earlier, I was always afraid that if I taught a game wrong or people didn't have fun, that they wouldn't come back. They wouldn't, or they wouldn't, you know, my friends wouldn't want to play games anymore. So I am constantly, or was constantly, internalizing this anxiety. And so one of the ways I did a big stream about this, or a big thread about this, about a year ago, which I'm sure, since I'm sure everyone watching has an encyclopedic knowledge of my stream, I'm sure that is, I don't have to tell you. But what it's kind of turned into is I'm really bad about learning games on the fly. So like at a convention, like, hey, here's this new game, check it out. I just get so worked up. And I'm sorry if I'm using anxiety incorrectly. I like I said before, I mean it in the little a. Oh, interesting. You know, it's always good to see other people, especially big name folks like Ross, talk about some of the same issues that us little folks have. While I'm here giving compliments to people, let me take a break from my previous story to say that I am so proud of Ross and how much he's grown and how great his channel is. I remember when you first came around. I mean, Ross's channel has grown so quickly. Bye, Mark. Enjoy your poutine. Ross's channel has grown so quickly. I remember when it was first posted about on Game News, on the Shut Up and Sit Down Game News. I think I'd heard about it a little bit before then. But that just feels like yesterday. I'm sure to Ross, it feels like 100 years ago. But to me, it just feels like just a little bit ago. And now he's such a name. So awesome. Again, I mean that completely unironically. I'm going to put a little bit of this one up here. Okay. And I remember actually the Shut Up and Sit Down news post that featured Ross also featured No Time for Games, who was gone for a little while, and now he's back. He is fantastic. He's one of the few people, well, this is maybe a little conceited to say, he's one of the few people on here that I am genuinely jealous of in terms of he has such a great idea. So he takes foreign films and he turns off the official subtitles and he adds unofficial subtitles that are about board games. It's utterly genius. And he was gone for a little while, but he's back now. And he's starting to blow up too. It's really enheartening. Is enheartening a word? I'm not sure enheartening is a word. So I remember that Ross and No Time for Games were both featured in the same news bit. And I made a joke about how my entire life is bouncing back and forth between No Time for Games and More Games, Please. And that joke is why people started paying attention to Ross, and here we are. So yeah, so what I was talking about was like, because of that anxiety about teaching non-gamers how to play, it means that I'm kind of bad about learning games now, because I feel so guilty if I'm not following the rules right. You know, I feel like, oh, people at the table aren't going to have a good time. They're not going to have fun. I realize it's all in my head. I'm just kind of talking. Otherwise, you guys are going to watch me smearing grease inside a keyboard. And that's something I'm trying to get better at. But you know how when, not to make a gendered observation here, but I think guys are especially bad at this. Like if you ask for directions, and someone starts giving you the directions and you're trying so hard to pretend like you're listening and not zoning out that you don't hear a word they say. I'm like that with game teachers. I'm using Super Lube 51010. If I were a little better, I would have had a syringe with a little smaller so I could really squirt it in there. But this is working fine. The stuff that I used on the stabilizer, which I think happened before a lot of people joined, those are these little pieces here. This is a little thicker. It's more of a grease. Is it tears? Yes. That's fantastic. Okay, well, thank you, Ada, for confirming that. That it's not just a guy thing. So yeah, so that's me when I'm learning a new game is I'm trying so hard to make it look like I'm understanding the rules that I never actually get to pay attention to the rules. So I was talking earlier about how I kind of didn't want to do this. And let me explain what I mean. Let me move this back up so you guys can see it okay. Or we can talk about anything else for that matter. For me, I think everybody's like this. I think everybody has a thing that is most important to them. Could that have been the most generic comment? Of course, everybody has a thing that's most important to them. Something I don't talk about a whole lot. I mean, I think you guys know about it, but something I don't talk about a whole lot is that for me, writing fiction is the absolute most important thing to me. Now, that doesn't mean like a lot of writers, that doesn't mean I necessarily do it all the time. But, you know, if I had a perfect day, if I woke up early, went to the gym, ate well, let's say I put out an issue of The Manifold that did gangbusters, put out a tweet that, you know, blew up the spot, had a date that went well, you know, everything that would be just the perfect day for me. You know, when I went to bed that night, I'd still have that little voice that was like, you dumb SOB, you still didn't write. You still didn't get anything done. Still not going to have a book. And this is probably a little heavier than we want to get into, but I don't know how to quiet that voice. And this isn't me being like, oh, look how dedicated I am, because the voice is ever present, but it doesn't necessarily make me do any more writing than I necessarily would. So I'm trying to balance stuff. So when I said I didn't necessarily want to do this, what I meant was just, you know, that voice is like, man, if you do this, you could have been writing. You could have been doing some writing, bud. But now you're going to be doing this thing instead. Well, this became kind of a downer, so let's read some chat. Oh, that's great. See, now I feel bad because Russ posted something actually meaningful and sweet, whereas mine was just me continuing to beat myself up for, you know, not working on some book. If you guys aren't following No Pun Included, Ross is part of a live play D&D group. They're doing Waterdeep Dragon Heist with, let's see, it's the two No Pun Included guys. People, I mean, of course. Paul Dean, this channel's very own Ross, and Emma, who I could probably spend half an hour talking about how great Emma is, but everybody watching this already knows that. Anyway, they live stream on Saturdays, and then the video goes up on Mondays. And it's been a lot of fun. You know, I don't get into a lot of live stream D&Ds. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and for some reason the live D&D podcast, it kind of eats into my audiobook time. You kind of, you know, in this world you kind of got to make choices about what you want to follow. But having said that, I have really been enjoying the NPI series. It's super funny. It's ripping. Highly recommend it. Well, thank you, Ross, for joining. You're so kind, joining me in the downer second thought. I appreciate it. So since people are actually hanging out, it looks like I'm about, let's see, I'm 2/5 of the way done with the lubing. There is another thing I will be doing shortly, which I'll show you guys. Let's see. Let me talk a little bit about teaching games. Like I said, I have about 15 years experience teaching games to non-gamers. I think this is getting more and more well known. What's going on here? Oh, yuck. Okay. There was a blockage. I think this is something that's getting more and more well known, but if you can, teach the game backwards. And what that means is, especially with non-gamers, start with the goal. So because I taught newbies for so long, I could probably go into a trance state and teach Ticket to Ride. So Ticket to Ride's a great example of how to teach a game backwards. How do you win? You win by getting the most points. How do you get points? Well, you get points 3 ways. Or 2 ways, right? Yeah, 2 ways. By getting, by connecting destinations, and I'm going to show you those destination tickets in a minute. And you get points by putting trains on the track. Well, how do you put trains on the track? The way you do that is by pulling cards. Well, how do you pull cards? Well, the way you do that is on your turn, you can pick 2 face-up or face-down cards or 1 locomotive. So you see what I mean? You just kind of walk it backwards, starting with the big picture, how you win, and going in small. Bye, Andy. Thanks for joining us. I will see you and your special friend either tomorrow or Sunday at the gym. Oh, should I be saying I'm going to the gym? Don't go to the gym, guys. It's super dangerous. There's a pandemic. So yes, teach games backwards. And then the other thing I think that's really important when teaching games, I think this is true for every kind of gamer, and it's something that I don't see a lot of channels necessarily getting right, is teach the entire, teach what a sample round looks like. Show people what they're going to be doing on their turn. And I think that's probably something that needs to go pretty early. You know, on your turn, you'll pick 2 cards, or you'll lay down trains. Just give them, it gives them context for what the game is actually like. And that way, every other rule that you teach them will kind of, you know, will kind of, it'll be inside of that context that you gave them. Does anybody else have game teaching tips? Another one would, of course, be to have the game set up already, if at all possible. Also, if you're going over to your friend's house, leave your games in the car. Bring in the 2 that you actually want to play. Nothing freaks people out than seeing you walk in with, you know, 25 games. Bring 25 games, absolutely. But, you know, if somebody wants a, you know, if somebody is, if the mood feels different, then you can run out to your trunk and grab something. Yeah, C-Tan, or Chemical Mouse here says that's how he teaches games as well, and it's pretty effective. You know, that's one of the things, if somebody watching this wants to do a video game or a board game series, and you don't want to do the usual, to do a series on hosting game night and teaching game nights, it's something that we don't really talk about. We're not taught how to teach games, but it's integral. It's not something that anybody can do. You kind of got to learn how to do it. Yeah, that's great, Russ. That is definitely fantastic advice. I'm kind of, Andy's gone, but Andy's part of my game group at my local game night, or was before the badness, and he'll tell you that I'm kind of infamous there for setting out of games, especially games that I'm teaching. And it's not because I don't want to play. I just feel bad. I don't want people to have a bad time. And if it's easier for me to set out and watch other people play and kind of, you know, help teach, so be it. Yeah, C10 has a great point too, that you can do a learning day and then a playing day. In a perfect world, you're sending your players a video, a how to play video, that they all watch, and then they come completely prepared. But that would literally never happen. My game group would probably rather face grievous bodily harm than apparently watch a video that I send them. So I've kind of given up on that. You know, there was a startup that was trying this. I haven't heard from them in a while, but they were doing board game tutorials, interactive tutorials. And I think that's really smart. Now that's how I really learn a game. Watching a video, I end up zoning out. But those app tutorials, way too much. Those app tutorials are great just for learning the physical game. And so there's this company, and if anyone remembers their name, throw it in the chat, but there was a company that was creating these kind of interactive tutorials. So if you wanted to learn like Carcassonne, it would be like, put this here. And obviously that's not really an option for every game, but I wish more video game content creators or video makers, or even just people who teach games, would kind of pick that up. And it doesn't have to be interactive. You could just do it as a question. Like, if I play this card, what should I do next? And wait a second. Absolutely. Just, a lot of question and answers I think would probably help teach games a little better. Let's see. Yeah, I agree with that. I remember them having some trouble getting publishers now that you mention it. But yeah, I think building in question and answer, kind of interactive times. Don't put people on the spot, obviously, but question and answer times would be a way to kind of help people learn. Of course, the main takeaway about learning how to play games or teaching people how to play games is just that everybody learns differently. There are plenty of people that can just listen to games or rules be read to them and pick it up. But other people just need to read the rules for themselves. And there's a running joke in our hobby about the guy who's always like, let's just play and we'll figure it out as we go. And I don't think that's necessarily an indictment of that person. I think it's often an indictment of the person teaching the game. Not everyone, a lot of people learn by doing. They don't learn by listening or even learn by watching. I mean, I'll admit I'm kind of guilty of being that guy sometimes, depending on who's teaching the game, but it's just because I'm just not following. And I know that if we do a couple rounds, Yeah, and Ada makes the point of buying the app or playing the app just to learn the physical game. Which I think I had a joke about this once, which was, I buy the app to justify learning how to play the real game, but then when my friends want to play the real game, I don't want to because I've played 400 games of it already. So thanks for coming to the stream, listening to me rehash some of my favorite tweets of myself. But honestly, is anyone surprised that that's what this turned into? Wow, I can definitely see why this could be kind of addictive. This is fun, just hanging out. Sorry if I'm a little slow to chat. Let's see, we've been online for an hour. This is literally the first hour I've ever been live streaming, so. Hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves as well. Let's see. So the next thing I'm going to do after I do this is I'm actually going to take the board apart, and I'm going to. One of the reasons you get kind of a hollow sound in these cheaper keyboards is because because it's literally hollow. There's a board here, a mechanical or a electronic board, and then there's empty space. So what you can do is you can put some foam in that empty space, just like I'm going to do a little bit later with my spacebar. That's what I'm going to be doing. Let's see, catching up on the chat. Yeah, I agree with Casey. There are definitely board game apps I like to play. After years of making fun of the Dominion website and how janky it is, I've kind of come to fall in love with it and its jankiness. I still miss Isotropic, of course, which is, for those who don't know, a nearly perfect implementation. But it's pretty good. I like the Ascension app. I don't even really care for the Ascension card game that much, but I like the Ascension app so much. I've never posted. I should post about this. I actually made a Twitter bot that will help me pick the sets I want to play with. So if you own all the expansions, with Ascension, you can really only play like 2 sets together at the same time, because more than that, and it's just chaos, and not in a fun way. So I made a Twitter bot that every 4 hours will send me a tweet saying, hey, next time you play a game, play with this set, and use 4 players. Or use 3 players, or use 2 players. I need to tweet about that. It's called Ascension Robot. If anybody wants to look it up. I probably don't have the @ right on that, but you just look for Ascension Robot. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. So where I was going with that actually is kind of tied in, which is I really have zero interest playing Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia or anything else with strangers that I'm not talking to. I think there are plenty of people who are into board games just because they like playing games. But I think there are plenty of people, especially the people in this chat that I know IRL, who are really just kind of into games because they enjoy being around other people. So for me, you know, going on Tabletop Simulator and playing, I don't know, I can't think of a single board game, Stone Age with strangers, that just doesn't have an appeal for me, because to me that's just an app. I mean, I could play the app and it'd be a lot more fun, a lot faster. But if one thing that the pandemic has taught me, it's that I can really come to appreciate those games if I'm Zooming with someone or just talking to them. I really enjoy that. I don't make enough time for it. My local group was doing it every Monday, and then we kind of fell off. I think as everyone realized that this isn't going to be over anytime soon, the urgency to get together to play games every Monday kind of fell off. But no, I've been enjoying playing with people online. I think everyone in the stream who's identified themselves, Mark is gone, but I think everyone except Ross is an American. So who has 4th of July plans? Do we even have plans anymore? I don't know that we do. Mine is to film that skit I was talking about at the very beginning, which is why I have a gigantic beard that I am so excited about shaving off. Yeah, Ross, you've really embraced streaming. It's been really nice to see. You have a great setup too. So the reason I have this video set up, and you guys probably remember this, is that when I took this new job setting up the manifold with David, I was like, oh man, I'm going to be working from home. I'm going to have so much free time. And what I'm going to do is I'll just make a video every day. I'll just make a quick little video, or I'll do one a week, you know, just have some fun. How long could it take? A Twitter video is only 2 minutes. How long could it possibly take to make a 2-hour video? And it turns out it takes forever to make a 2-minute video. I'm sure Ada and Ross know exactly where I'm going with this, but it turned out it takes forever. So over the last few months, I've been trying to find a middle ground here. So I did the Weeping Meeple, which was audio only, but like I said, I'm going to be filming some more skits over the next little bit. Nothing as high quality as Paula, of course, but who could possibly be as high quality as Paula? Okay, I think I've lubed everything. Just gonna see what might need a little more. So maybe live streaming will be a part of that as well. Yeah, I saw, I posted about this today, but I saw that there's a fireworks shortage in the United States, but thankfully my neighbors haven't been posting or haven't been letting off too many fireworks, thank God. I feel bad for dogs. I mean in general, but also, with 4th of July. Okay. Oh, that one's got some clickiness still. Let's get that. I have no plans. I'm going to film that skit, like I said, so I can shave off my beard and my ridiculously long hair, which you guys can't actually see, but it's really nuts right now. One of the things that's kind of interesting and infuriating is that I think Twitter buries tweets that have YouTube links in them, and even if it doesn't, and even if Twitter doesn't do that necessarily, it definitely people have a hard time clicking on YouTube. You know, if you post a link, like if you look at the engagement on a tweet with a YouTube post in it versus just the native thing, it's much lower. And in some ways that's a blessing. It means any video idea I have, I got to keep under 2 minutes. So when I did Weeping Meeple a few months ago, I did it as one 2-minute video, and then another one when, you know, a few hours later, and then another one the next day. What I found was that the engagement just really started falling. So for this new skit, which we're calling Happily Married Meeples, which I'll explain in a minute, what we'll try to do is it's probably about 10 minutes, and I'm going to just do it as 5 2-minute videos, different segments, and then I'm going to post them all at once. So we'll see if that does any better. Let's see, got to catch up on chat. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point about links too. It wants you to stay on Twitter. So we'll try that. See if that works. Unfortunately, none of my ideas are ever 2-minute videos. Before this evening, I actually thought it would be fun to just like do a 2-minute video every day, sort of like how Danny does. You know, just like a little short video about whatever. Kind of a check-in. No editing or anything like that, but maybe now that I have live streaming set up, maybe I'll just do a little like 15-minute check-in live stream every day, end of the day. Or maybe I'll work on a book. All right, we got everything lubed. So the next step now is I'm going to take the back off so I can get this foam put in. Actually, while we're talking, this actually has some really neat lighting effects. Ooh. Uh-oh. Anyway. All right. That was actually faster than I thought it would be. The thing about the keyboards where you can actually take the switches out and do a much better job lubing them is that that takes forever. And this was, I mean, we've been doing this, what, hour and a half? But it was still, you know. There we go. Now let me not snap this thing out. Come on, there we go. There we go. Well, that was effective. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Okay, little tiny battery though. All right. Actually, this goes away. And here's the foam. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. So this is, it's like a mouse pad that is sticky on both sides. So I'm just going to, like I said, I'll just eyeball it. It's actually, actually I'm gonna make an executive decision here, which is, like I said, this is my cheap secondary keyboard. That foam that I was just showing you guys is $20 for that single sheet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see how the lubing worked first and see if I'm happy with that before I spend $20 on screwing that thing back in. Where did I put that? Where did I put them? Okay. All right. So let's get these screws back in and just give a check to everything, because I would like to save that foam for my daily keyboard if I could. And also, I don't know if you, am I frozen? Is my stream frozen? If anybody in the chat would let me know if I'm frozen, I would appreciate it. Okay, thank you. I think it's a Twitch problem. I don't think it's an Aza problem. Or if it is, Aza doesn't know how to fix it. So all right, so like I said, let's see how it sounds with oh boy, I sure do wish I had taken a picture of my keyboard before I started doing all this. How fun for everybody. Let's see. ASDO. If you guys see me making any mistakes, please yell. Hey, Daryl, how are you, man? So if you, Daryl is a great guy. He is, see, I think that's a B. There's a couple Daryls in my stream, and he is one of my favorites. I don't know where that goes yet. Q goes up here. Daryl's super funny too. So if you don't follow him, by all means. 1, 2, 3. Daryl, you missed all the lube talk earlier, unfortunately. Let's see. J. Let's see. ASDFGHJ. Again, picture probably would have helped quite a bit. So about these keycaps that I've got, these aren't the standard for this. Usually they're just white. This keyboard actually usually looks like the old Mac keyboards. These are called pudding caps. Let me see if you can see. The reason they're called that is because if you can see, it makes more sense when all the keycaps are on, but they glow up through the white part. So I have white and black. I thought the black inside the white looked kind of cool. So thought I'd do it like that. Okay. Do. Yes, Daryl is my #1 Daryl, you're right. So, let's see. I feel bad making you guys just watch me do this. I can talk about stuff. Let's see, what am I watching? The Harley Quinn animated series just finished its 2nd season. It was good. I've talked about it a lot, how much I like it. Didn't like the 2nd season quite as much as the first, but the first was nearly perfect, so that's nothing to take away from the 2nd season. Second season got big in a way I didn't really care for, but still a great show. I don't actually watch a lot of TV, so I don't know why I'm talking about it. Not because I dislike TV. I just never have time. It's hard for me to get into, like, to stay on top of TV. So I'll watch the first season of about anything, and even if I love it, like absolutely adore it and love it, when it comes back for the second season, I just kind of fall off. I'm doing the same thing right now with Doom Patrol, which I really loved, but then the second season came out. It's just really tough for me to. It's just really tough for me to find time. I had a girlfriend who, just full stop. I had a girlfriend who mentioned that she thought it was connected to my fear of commitment. I'll never forget. She was said when we were having a fight, and she claimed I had a fear of commitment. I said, that's not true. And she said, what are you talking about? She says, all your plants are fake. You've never had a pet, and you've never watched the second season of a TV show. Of course you have commitment issues. So she showed me, because now she's married with kids, and I am doing keyboard maintenance for my internet friends. So ASDFGH. Oh, that's right, Ross. It's late where you are. I forgot about that. So as you guys can probably tell from the speed at which I'm putting these back on, I've done this more than a few times. Let's see. That's there. Till only 2. Wow. Well, you know, Daryl, you got a good point, and I don't know that I'd be happily married with kids myself, so. Let's see, and then the tab there. Those 2 I'll wait on. In. Let's see. Go ahead and get this back on. Let's see. Is that right? Oh, nope. I got them mixed up, guys. Apologies for the silence. This is slightly more taxing than I thought it would be. Mom, no, okay, you're right. That's right, my sample words there were mom and no. I don't know what that means. All right. And then there was that keycap I dropped, which is right here. And I don't know what that one is. So, has anyone been going to those online conventions? Is anybody enjoying those? I have not yet been on them. I'll admit I was a little cynical about them when they first got announced. They didn't seem very fun to me at all. But, you know, a lot of people have been saying they've been having fun with them. And where's my X? Anybody see my X key? A lot of people have been saying they've been having fun with them, and of course, there's the X. As other people have pointed out, they're a great win for accessibility, because people who can't necessarily go, to board game conventions in real life can go online. So, I'm not a cad. Of course, I won't. I wouldn't say publicly that I was cynical about them. And I'm glad I was proven wrong. I'm glad people are having fun with them. Oh man, this sounds good, huh? Listen to that. Nice. All right. There's a space. Here's a backspace. Wow, I'm really happy with how these sound. That's fantastic. Anybody else? Yeah, absolutely. You know, what I really look forward to, Ross, is not even this year's, not necessarily even this year's, sorry, online conventions, but rather the ones once we kind of perfected the form where you really can meet up with people and play, you know, right there inside the convention itself. Whereas, you know, the ones that we have now are a little, you know, we're still figuring it out. So, you know, there's, you know, go watch this thing here, but then if you want to play, go over here, and if you want to do that, I'm not saying it's a pain in the butt. I'm just saying that, you know, it'll be kind of neat when people are really able to, you know, that it's almost like an app, which I hope is coming. It seems like it should be. Just takes a little while. Let's see. I think that's where that goes. And I think that's where that goes. Yep, really should have taken a picture, huh? It's okay. If I'd known I was going to have so many people here, I would have, if you were first here on the stream, you heard how clicky-clacky this thing was. But if I'd known I was going to have so many people, I would have shot some video so that we can see the before and after. All right, so let's turn this on. Nice. Listen to that, guys. Wow. I'm really happy with the way this sounds. Wow. That is a 300% difference. Nice. And frankly, I don't think it's actually that loud. I think I'm going to save this foam for my real keyboard. Okay. Well, of course we wouldn't want Plumpy to be able to lie like that. So, well, guys, that's the stream. This actually didn't take us. I thought I was going to be online for like 4 hours doing this, but thanks for hanging out with me. I am super happy with how well this turned out. Like I said, I don't know that adding foam would make it nice enough to justify cutting up this piece. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I only use this a couple hours a day. What? There's a little uneven there on the 8 and 9. So I hope everyone had fun hanging out while I did this. If it was awkward or weird, it's this was my first time. Maybe, who knows, maybe my last time. If this is something you'd like to see more of, not necessarily me lubing keyboards, but if this is something you'd like to see more of just me hanging out, that could be fun. Let's see, coming up next week for me, you are going to see me with my beard shaved off, hopefully, because I've finished a skit. My Happily Married Meeple skit, which is something I've been thinking about. I remember I told Paula Dimming about the idea for this skit like 2 years ago. It's nice to finally be able to do it. There'll be a new issue of The Manifold from Ruel Gaviola. I hope I don't get his name wrong. Yeah, more stuff. Things are finally looking up over here. I went through, you know, I don't mind telling you guys this. I've gone through kind of a bad time the last few months, which is why I haven't really been doing much butt tweeting. Well, thank you, Ross. That's really nice to hear you say. So maybe this is something that I will continue doing. Great. Well, everyone, thank you for joining me. I am very, very happy with how nice my keyboard sounds now. Highly recommend doing this if you have a mechanical. The old-fashioned way of taking them apart and lubing them up is probably better, but this is fantastic. Great. Well, thank you to everyone for joining me. I will now spend 45 to 70 seconds trying to figure out how to stop streaming. So look forward to that. Guys, thanks for coming. Seriously, in all sincerity, I had a fantastic time. This is going to be very addictive. And have a great night and have a great 4th. I love you. Bye.